Relief is on the way. That's the message from the New South Wales Premier as the state records a second day in a row with zero community transmission. Charlotte Mortlock joins us live now from New South Wales Health. Good afternoon to you, Charlotte. Restrictions will be eased soon, we're hearing.
Yeah, Julie, some very exciting news for New South Wales residents. Of course, the state has now entered into the mop-up phase after those clusters broke out, unfortunately, right around Christmas. But the Premier, Gladys Berejiklian, and her team have now moved into a space where they are looking at easing restrictions. It could be as early as next week, but it is going to be dependent on two things. That is, that we keep seeing low community transmission cases and also an increase in testing.
We are very much in the next few days considering what restrictions we can ease, but that will depend on obviously having low case numbers and also having higher rates of testing. Children under 12 being allowed in households, potentially looking at weddings and what we can do there. I know how stressful it is. We all know how stressful it is for people who are having those milestone events, and clearly what extent mask wearing becomes part of our response moving forward.
Unfortunately, we only had 16,000 tests conducted in the 24-hour period. Now, we are aiming for around 25,000 per day. The Premier says it's unrealistic to expect that 70,000 that we reached at the height of the cluster just over the Christmas period. But she does want to see an increase in people coming forward for testing with the mildest of symptoms.
And Charlotte, focus is now shifting to the logistics surrounding the vaccine.
It certainly is, Julie. So as we get closer to this, where questions are starting to be raised about who will be forced to get the vaccine, how it will be rolled out and who will be first in line, the Premier says that she wants to take an approach that is incentivising the community to come forward and get the vaccine as opposed to punishing people who don't. There is also some discussion that will continue for some months about the potential of people faking the certificate of that vaccine. The Premier says that she's already looking at a system that may try to mitigate that.
New South Wales is certainly ready, and Minister Dominello is certainly ready to have us be in a position where we'd like the Commonwealth to share data with us so we can at least allow our citizens to have an effective electronic proof mechanism to show that they've had the vaccine, and that will allow them certain opportunities perhaps. So we're keen to have something like that occur, and we're in discussions with the Commonwealth about those issues.
So the state has well and truly got on top of those clusters that broke out over the Christmas period, but the Premier says it is inevitable that we are going to see another outbreak happen again across New South Wales. She says what is important is that the state and the health officials have a demonstrated ability to get on top of these outbreaks, and because of that, borders to other states should remain open.
Charlotte Mortlock, thank you very much for that update.